uncomfortable topic for you. My speech is about 12 minutes, and you step out. Hello, my name is Weinberg. This year I'm a junior at University High School. I like to think you had a pretty nice, chill, upbeat vibe with me, but over the last year or two, I've been struggling with major depression and thoughts of suicide. I was stuck in an actual existential crisis, and I never really knew what those were before I went through one. But I genuinely thought that nothing we did in this world mattered at all. The way I used to describe how I thought to people was with ants. Those tiny little things that you see move back and forth all the time, almost aimlessly. To them, I'm assuming whatever small tasks they have of bringing food back to their home is extremely important. To them, that's me. But to me, their lives look so sad and pathetic. But I feel like they're almost blinded by the meaning that their brain gives to that task of gathering food. Their lives don't really mean anything, and are ultimately extremely pointless. Everything they're building will eventually be gone. So why do they even try? Maybe because they're too young to realize it. But I feel like even though we have much bigger brains, we're too young to realize that everything we do is ultimately pointless as well. And I feel like everyone cites the reasons to be alive as things that make you happy. But happiness just comes from a chemical in our brains, which can make us very biased in thinking of that as meaning. Who's to say those good things matter any more than bad ones? I just thought that, objectively, we're all wasting our time and energy in these lives that we live. And I won't talk about that the whole speech. You probably get the idea. But, I don't know, I just thought I was some enlightened thinker who was the only one that had figured out the truth, that we're being trapped here by our own minds. Because at the very base of every human, from the dawn of existence, is one goal: to stay alive. And I thought that I had broken through that coding in our brains and realized that this is a horrible world. This is the bad place that we're trapped in. And I wanted to leave because I thought that the very neutral state of being absolutely nothing was far better than living a pathetic and pointless existence, if that makes any sense. I would look around at everything, and it all seemed so sad and miserable. It was seriously like everything was in black and white. Then, being forced to do a bunch of tedious and boring homework, sit through monotonous classes for 6 hours each day, made it a lot harder to be optimistic about this life that I didn't want to live. I really couldn't see the point in anything. Why should I even try? What would make that worth it? I won't lie. By all accounts, all I wanted was to die. That's all I wanted. Almost every night, I would go to sleep, desperately hoping that I wouldn't wake up the next morning. I would drive to school, genuinely hoping someone would crash into my car and just let me be free. Interestingly, my life was actually going very well during that whole time. I had a girlfriend, lots of good friends, good grades, lots of support. That stuff can make you feel good at times, but do those feelings actually matter at all? What's the point? I won't lie. By all accounts, I really should be dead by now. The only reason I'm not is because I'm too nice. Since I was really little, I've been an almost overly empathetic person. Very strongly feel whatever I imagine others feeling. So, even though I really impulsively wanted to kill myself, I came very close a good number of times. I would imagine all the grief that my friends and family would feel if I died. And that's the only thing that would stop me. I was purely just alive, so others wouldn't be sad. And that itself is such a sad and pathetic existence. And I have an aunt whose daughter went through something very similar her senior year of high school. My aunt told me that for her daughter, living for her parents wasn't enough, but she had to stay alive for her younger sister. For me, even if my parents may not be enough to keep me in this world, I can't ever let my 10 and 14-year-old sisters say that they lost their brother. And that one still tears me up inside, even now. And that's why I'm still here. But even though I stayed alive, living was so hard. As soon as I felt the pressure of academics, I would instantly enter like a fight or flight response. And I felt like I had no actual reason to fight. As soon as anything not so great would happen in my day, I would instantly think to myself, I want to die, please, just let me die. But I couldn't. My family and friends had me trapped here, in this horrible world. And the feeling of distress that comes with feeling trapped is something that would make me want to give in and end it all the more. But I would still go to school, try and act like I was totally fine. I'd force myself to smile and laugh while I was contemplating this. But I would go ask all my teachers and psychologists, anyone who I thought would have knowledge and experience, what the point of anything I did was. And I mainly just talk to adults because when you hear someone wants to end their life, you start getting pretty uncomfortable and worried. So I thought adults would be better equipped to handle that. But no one could really answer that question in a way that satisfied me. And school continued to strongly push me toward the edge. So I considered changing schools, getting a GED, leaving high school early, even went and explored different kinds of schools that teach you one-on-one. But at the root of it, I was just extremely depressed. While changing my environment may help a little, I couldn't fix the root cause of my misery. But don't worry, it's not all the way down there. You must be wondering, Sage, how did you get better? Because I have genuinely been better for almost half a year. That doesn't mean it's sunshine and rainbows all the time, because sadness and struggle is a necessary part of life. But I have not wanted to end my life. Should be the bare minimum, but while everything's temporary, it was seriously impossible to imagine me not feeling like that for the rest of my life. So, my little secret for getting better, what was it? There were two very important things. The first one probably won't be a big shocker to most people. It was medication. You're probably thinking, why didn't you just try that from the start? And I did. Like a year ago, I tried an antidepressant, and interestingly, it had a little side effect. You may have heard of it. The side effect is called depression. On the antidepressant, which is so dumb, but yeah, the antidepressant somehow just made me more depressed. I ended up having a lot of weird and bad experiences with medicine that literally messed with my brain. With some of them, genuinely put me much more at risk of actually ending my life. So I stayed away from any medication for a while, but eventually I tried another antidepressant, which managed to dope me. It actually worked pretty well. It kind of fixed me, made my emotional levels much more normal. In other words, maybe not instantly want to end my life whenever something bad or inconvenient would happen in my day. And I'm not recommending any specific medication. That's just the one that happened to work well for me. But just because my emotions were better. Sorry. Then there's the other. Those existential questions. Just because my emotions were better. Those existential questions. Why does anything I do matter? Did it go away? So that's where the other thing comes in. The thing that helped answer those questions. It's something that I would actually recommend for most people in the audience right now, because I think it's pretty fair to assume that most of you tend to feel overwhelmed, or very sad at times. For you, I have a book recommendation. It is called The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F, a counterintuitive approach to living a good life. It's a pretty popular book. You may have heard of it, but it's the single most helpful book I have ever read. It answered pretty much all my questions about meaning. I would carry it around with me everywhere and read it whenever I was feeling sad or kind of off. And it would completely help me be exactly what I need to hear every single time. In fact, there's so many profound things I want to say about the secrets to happiness and fulfillment, but I just need to get lines from that book, so go read it. The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. The actual title is uncensored, and the rest of the book is very much uncensored too. You're probably wondering why I decided to talk about this in front of a huge crowd of people, and it's really not for me at all. I'm personally pretty worried that this will change the way a lot of people see or think of me, because I like to think I normally give off much more positive energy, a little bit opposite from depressed and suicidal. And now anyone who watched this is going to have that in the back of their mind. But the reason I'm sharing this is in case there's anyone in this audience going through something similar to what I experienced. These get posted online too, hopefully to reach someone who might find it helpful, because I never would have expected to get out of that hole I was buried in. And I want to show that it really is possible to get out and thrive. This is a beautiful world with so much to do. You're given the opportunity to live. So go do whatever it is that you want to do for your life. Because the glorious meaning of life really is whatever you choose to find meaning in. For those ants that I mentioned earlier, whose lives I used to think of as so sad and pathetic, like ours, that task of gathering food, whatever it is that they spend all their time doing, very well could be their meaning of life. It can be different for everyone. It can change throughout your life. So go put yourself out there. Find something that fulfills you and brings you meaning.